So we'll go down to the end of the alley and we'll take a right and go inside the church of Ignazio, St. Ignatius Loyola. Very impressive building in front of you. We're going to be going inside of this. Actually, it's a church and a college. This is the headquarters of the Jesuit order. And this church is one of the two main Jesuit churches in Rome, and we'll see the other one tomorrow as well. The church was built during the time of the Counter-Reformation. So we're talking about like the late 16th century and on into the 17th century. The paintings were added slightly later.
The ceiling mural of StIgnazio is one of the miracles of Rome. It's an amazing piece of trompe-l'oeil. Trick the eye, gives you this fantastic illusion. As you look up into the ceiling, you can see seemingly straight through it. You're looking up to the sky and to the heavens beyond.
So you can really see the colors now. Really quite a masterpiece. And I bet you none of you had ever heard of this before, had you? Now you know. It's the church of Ignazio, St. Ignatius. And again, the artist is Andrea. Really fine work. And now we'll look at the facade from across the other side of the piazza. And then we carry on to Trevi Fountain. The Jesuits were very much an order involved in the Counter-Reformation, trying to recover the prestige of the church and compete with the growing Protestant threat. And it was a very theatrical kind of environment that was created in these Baroque churches, because really it was kind of a marketing thing and to appeal to the public and get them in, get them involved. We have this beautiful pastel shades all around us of the Rococo buildings of the Piazza San Ignazio. This building here is a police station. It almost looks like it's an opera setting. You expect the soprano to burst out of the balcony up there and go into an aria. We are going to go the route around behind this ornate building, and that'll lead us on to another alley that will take us to the Trevi Fountain eventually.
We cross over the busy main street in the heart of Rome, the Via del Corso.
We are at the Trevi Fountain. 3 coins in the fountain, right. I would say, and I think you'd agree, this is the most famous fountain in the world. And here it is, the real thing. Well, the history is it was built around 1750. And the architect's name is Nicola Salvi, and kind of based on earlier ideas from the Baroque period. But 1750 is already beyond the Baroque time. You know, we're into the middle of the 18th century. So it's a slightly more modern piece. And it's depicting Neptune, the god of the ocean, in the center, and a triumphal arch around him. It represents the terminus fountain for an aqueduct. It's an aqueduct of the Virgin. And it's an actual Roman aqueduct, still functioning today. This water is coming from a Roman aqueduct. Now, they were underground usually, sometimes above ground, but in the city, the aqueduct was underground, just like our pipes are today. And we have depicted the story of the discovery of the spring and the construction of the aqueduct. Those two scenes are depicted up above. Look at the square on the upper right. What we have on the upper right is a lady pointing down to the ground. That's the Virgin pointing to the spring. Thus, it's the aqueduct of the Virgin, showing the Roman soldiers. A water source 12 miles from town. On the left, we've got the engineers. And the engineer in this case, we know who he was. It was Marcus Agrippa. He built the first Pantheon, the son-in-law of Augustus. Very important guy. He never became emperor, but almost. He was a very important general, engineer, and diplomat, Marcus Agrippa. So he's memorialized up there. And look at the sculpture itself. It kind of looks like natural bedrock on the sides, but of course it's not. It's all carved. And the stone is called travertine. It's not marble. Most of Rome is built out of travertine. A lot of the buildings, facades, it's not marble. It's a different kind of stone related to marble, travertine. And that's what we got here. Now you can't drink this water, but there is a separate water source that's coming in over there on the far edge, a little niche, and that water is drinkable. You'll see people filling their bottles. So let's take about 5 minutes, okay, and we'll meet back here about right here where we're standing, about 6:15. You want to go down the steps in the middle and throw your coin over your shoulder. One for coming back to Rome and one for a wish if you have coins. American coins are okay. If not, you can fake it for the camera. and then come on back up here in 5 minutes.
Here's the typical street fountain. You put your finger over the bottom of the spout, and the water shoots up through a little hole in the top.
That Virgin Aqueduct that feeds Trevi feeds this and feeds Piazza Navona too. And so if anybody is thirsty right now, it's clean water. You can do it on that side too. Just don't spray anybody.
So it's real convenient and hygienic and cool and refreshing.
This is StAndrea delle Fratte, which means St. Andrew of the Bramble Bushes, because in the original Renaissance period, when it was built in this location, this was considered the outskirts of the city, the bushes out in the sticks. StAndrea delle Fratte. So I brought you here particularly to show you this cloister for the contrast with the city out there. And cloister was an area for quiet meditation, prayer, strolling, meditation, and in particular it's a place where the nuns, priests would live. And then still today there's residences up above. And we'll have a peek inside the church just to see two statues by Bernini. You're getting it, okay. These were two of his personal favorites. He lived across the street. I'll show you his house. And he carved a whole series of angels for the Bridge of the Angels that we'll see tomorrow morning. And those are outdoors. It's actually his studio that created most of those. But he personally carved two of the angels, and they were so wonderful, it was decided not to put them outside, but to keep them in this church. And he retained ownership. And his family, through the generations, retains still yet ownership of these two statues.
There's churches on every corner, it seems, in this city. In fact, they have 500 churches in Rome. Continuing walking along in this central part of Rome, we're going to walk on over towards the Spanish Steps and Piazza di Spagna. It's a great gathering spot, major hangout for locals and visitors alike. These are all activities that happen on our first day in Rome. We like to get out and stretch our legs, get some exercise and fresh air. It really helps with the jet lag.
So we're going to go over to that corner and walk single file along the side there. Okay, we'll cross safely this way and then that way.